The alien ships descended on Earth like a storm, their obsidian hulls gleaming under the pale sunlight. They dwarfed anything humanity had ever seen, each vessel a floating fortress bristling with weapons. Their arrival shattered the quiet of the planet's surface, plunging cities into chaos as the aliens began their assault. On the ground, people stared upward in terror, frozen by the sight of alien dreadnoughts hovering over their homes. The aliens, towering beings with elongated limbs and shimmering silver skin, moved with mechanical precision. Their glowing eyes scanned their surroundings as they unleashed destruction, beams of searing energy reducing entire city blocks to rubble in an instant. In the orbital defense station above Earth, Commander Eric Jansen watched helplessly as the planet burned. "How many ships are we tracking now?" he asked, his voice strained. 116, Commander," Lieutenant Harris replied, his tone grim. "And more are entering the system. They're not stopping." Eric's eyes flicked to the main monitor, where real-time footage showed the devastation unfolding across the globe. New York, Beijing, Cairo. One by one, Earth's major cities were falling under the alien onslaught. The ships were too fast, their technology too advanced. "We've sent out hails to every one of their ships," Harris continued, his fingers flying across the console. "No response. They're ignoring us completely." Eric clenched his jaw. "They don't see us as worth talking to. We're just another target." On the surface, Earth's military launched counterattacks with everything they had. Jets soared into the skies, missiles streaked upward, and orbital lasers fired in desperate attempts to bring down the alien invaders. But the aliens had defenses beyond human comprehension. Their ships absorbed or deflected every attack with ease, their energy shields shimmering briefly before returning to an impenetrable state. In one of Earth's underground bunkers, a lone scientist, Dr. Alan Greaves, stared at the chaos unfolding on his screen. "It's not just destruction," he murmured to his team. "They're targeting infrastructure, power grids, communication hubs. They're dismantling us systematically." But as the alien assault continued, it became clear that this wasn't just about conquest. The invaders weren't attempting to subjugate humanity. They were eradicating it. Entire populations were vaporized as alien drones descended to mop up survivors. "Sir, Earth's defenses are failing," Harris said, his voice breaking. "What's left of the fleet is retreating to the colonies. We're losing contact with command." Eric slammed his fist against the console. "No," he growled. "We don't retreat. Not while there's still a chance to save someone." "Commander," Harris hesitated. "The colonies, they're our last hope. If we stay, we'll lose everything." Eric stared at the burning planet below, his heart heavy. Every instinct told him to keep fighting, to refuse to give the aliens the satisfaction of wiping them out entirely. But Harris was right. Earth was lost. The colonies would need every survivor they could muster to carry on humanity's legacy. "Order the evacuation," Eric said at last, his voice low. "Pull everyone we can off the surface. We'll regroup in the outer colonies. But this isn't over. Not by a long shot." As the defense station began its retreat, Eric cast one last look at Earth, now shrouded in smoke and fire. The aliens had come with overwhelming force, tearing humanity's home away in a single day. But he knew one thing with certainty. Humanity wasn't done yet. Deep in the colonies, far from the reach of the invaders, the survivors would regroup. They would rebuild. And one day they would make the aliens regret ever coming to Earth. Far from the smoldering remains of Earth, the human colonies buzzed with urgency. The news of Earth's destruction spread like wildfire, sparking fear and anger in equal measure. On Nova Europa, the largest and most advanced colony, Commander Eric Jansen stood in the center of a makeshift war room surrounded by grim-faced survivors. "The aliens have taken everything from us," Eric began, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "But they didn't destroy us. We're still here, and as long as we're breathing, humanity is not finished." The gathered crowd, a mix of military officers, engineers, and civilians, nodded in grim agreement. Screens around the room displayed grainy footage of the aliens' attack on Earth. Their ships were massive, sleek, and terrifyingly efficient, each one capable of leveling a city in minutes. "What do we know about them?" Eric asked, turning to Dr. Alan Greaves, one of the colony's leading scientists and an expert in alien technology. Greaves adjusted his glasses, his face pale from exhaustion. "We've been able to analyze fragments of their technology from debris recovered during the assault. Their energy shields are light years ahead of anything we've seen, and their weapons are devastating. But there's a pattern." He tapped on a console, pulling up a holographic projection of an alien ship. "Their technology is centralized. All their ships, drones, and ground forces seem to rely on a networked command system. If we can disrupt it, we might be able to cripple their forces. That's a big if, muttered Lieutenant Harris, standing near the back of the room. We don't even have weapons that can scratch their shields. How are we supposed to get close enough to do anything? We adapt, Eric said firmly. That's what humans do. We've faced extinction before, and every time we've found a way to survive. This time will be no different. The room fell silent as Eric's words sank in. He turned back to Greaves. How much time do we have before they find us? Not long, Greaves admitted. They've already wiped out Earth. If they see us as a threat, they'll come here next. Weeks, maybe days before their scouts find us. Eric clenched his fists. Then we have to act fast. We can't wait for them to attack. We need to take the fight to them. The crowd murmured in surprise. A civilian in the back, a former miner named Carter, raised his hand. With all due respect, Commander, we're outgunned and outnumbered. How do we even begin to fight something like that? Eric's eyes burned with determination. We hit them where it hurts. We disrupt their network, sabotage their supply lines, and steal their technology. We fight them like ghosts, striking from the shadows and disappearing before they can hit back. It won't be easy, but it's the only way. Greaves nodded slowly. If we can capture one of their ships intact, I might be able to reverse engineer their tech. It could give us the edge we need. Then that's our first mission, Eric declared. We'll assemble a team and target the nearest alien patrol. Once we have their ship, we'll figure out our next move. Over the next hours, the colony shifted into overdrive. Engineers worked tirelessly to retrofit human ships with makeshift cloaking devices and experimental weapons, while soldiers prepared for their first encounter with the aliens since Earth's fall. In a dimly lit hangar, Eric stood before his team, a group of hardened soldiers and skilled pilots. This mission is dangerous, he told them. Most of you have never seen these aliens up close. They're fast, strong, and deadly. But they're not invincible. Remember that. As the team boarded their ships, Eric took one last look at the stars. Somewhere out there, the aliens were preparing for their next conquest, confident in their superiority. But they had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity's resolve. The engines roared to life and the ships launched into the darkness of space. For the first time since Earth's destruction, humanity was on the offensive. The alien patrol ship drifted in the void, its sleek hull blending seamlessly with the darkness of space. Inside, its crew of 3 worked with cold efficiency, their elongated fingers dancing across holographic controls. The aliens communicated in a series of clicks and resonant tones, their glowing blue eyes focused on their instruments. To them, this was routine, a simple reconnaissance mission to ensure no remnants of humanity posed a threat. Unbeknownst to them, a human strike team was closing in. Commander Eric Jansen sat in the cockpit of the Resolute, his hand steady on the controls as the human ships approached their target. The vessel was cloaked, its heat signature dampened to avoid detection. Beside him, Lieutenant Harris monitored the alien patrol ship, his face pale but determined. "They haven't spotted us," Harris whispered, his voice tense. "We're right in their blind spot." "Good," Eric replied, his tone calm but razor sharp. "Remember, no mistakes. We can't afford to lose this chance." Behind them, the strike team waited in silence. Each soldier was outfitted in a hodgepodge of armor, much of it scavenged and repurposed from Earth's fallen military. Their weapons, while primitive compared to alien technology, had been modified to exploit what little the humans had learned about the invaders' physiology. Eric keyed the comms. "Dr. Greaves, how are we looking?" The scientist's voice crackled through the channel. "I've synced your systems to detect their communications. Once you breach their ship, I'll guide you to the command console. Remember, Commander, we need their navigation data intact. If we lose it, this mission is a bust." "Understood," Eric said. He glanced at Harris. "Initiate the boarding maneuver." Harris pressed a series of buttons and the Resolute crept closer to the alien patrol ship. A harpoon-like device shot out, embedding itself in the alien hull with a muffled thud. Within seconds, a tunnel extended between the two ships, creating an airtight seal. "Boarding tube secure," Harris confirmed. Eric stood and turned to his team. "This is it. No hesitation. Remember, they don't expect us to fight back. Let's show them what humanity is capable of." The team moved quickly, their boots clanking against the boarding tube as they entered the alien vessel. The interior was dimly lit, the walls pulsating faintly as though the ship were alive. Strange symbols glowed softly on the surfaces, and the air smelled metallic and cold. "Stay sharp," Eric whispered, signaling for the team to fan out. In the first chamber, 2 aliens stood at a control station. They turned at the sound of approaching footsteps, their glowing eyes widening in surprise. The humans didn't hesitate. With precise shots, the soldiers fired modified rounds that pierced the aliens' thin, flexible armor. The creatures crumpled to the floor, their silvery blood pooling beneath them. "Targets neutralized," one of the soldiers reported. "Keep moving," Eric ordered. The team pushed deeper into the ship, encountering minimal resistance. The aliens were clearly unprepared for a boarding action. As they reached the central chamber, Eric's comm crackled. "Commander, you're near the command console," Greaves said. "Once you're inside, I'll guide you through extracting the data." The chamber door slid open with a hiss, revealing the final alien crew member. It was larger than the others, its limbs armored with jagged plating. It let out a sharp, resonant roar and lunged at the team with terrifying speed. "Contact!" Eric shouted, raising his weapon. The alien swatted aside one of the soldiers, sending him crashing into the wall. Another fired a burst of rounds, but the alien's armor deflected them. Eric dodged a swinging limb and rolled to the side, firing a shot at the creature's exposed abdomen. The modified round struck true, and the alien staggered, letting out a guttural cry. Harris moved in, delivering a final shot to its head. The creature collapsed, its metallic blood splattering the floor. "Clear!" Harris shouted. "Everyone okay?" Eric asked, scanning his team. The soldier who had been thrown aside groaned but gave a thumbs up. "Let's get that data and get out of here," Eric said, moving to the command console. Under Greaves' guidance, Eric plugged a data spike into the alien system. The screen filled with incomprehensible symbols, which Greaves worked to translate remotely. "I've got it," Greaves said after a tense minute. "Navigation data, fleet positions, and... Oh, this is interesting. Commander, I'm detecting a centralized command relay in their network. It could be their main hub." "Can we use this data to track it?" Eric asked. "Yes," Greaves confirmed. "But hurry. The ship's sending out a distress signal. You've got minutes before reinforcements arrive." "Copy that," Eric said, pulling the spike from the console. "Team, fall back to the Resolute. Now!" The humans moved quickly, retracing their steps through the alien ship. Alarms blared and the walls pulsed red with warning lights. As they entered the boarding tube, Eric glanced back at the lifeless alien bodies. "For Earth," he muttered before sealing the hatch behind him. The Resolute disengaged from the alien vessel and vanished into the darkness of space. Moments later, the patrol ship exploded in a fiery burst as its self-destruct activated. Back on Nova Europa, Greaves examined the recovered data with wide eyes. "This changes everything," he said, his voice tinged with awe. "We know where their fleet is vulnerable. Commander, this is the start of something big." Eric nodded, his jaw set. "Then we hit them where it hurts. No more running." The command center on Nova Europa buzzed with nervous energy. Dr. Alan Greaves stood at the center of the room, gesturing toward a massive holographic display showing the alien fleet's positions. The data recovered from the patrol ship had revealed something critical: a central relay station deep in alien-controlled space. "This relay," Greaves explained, pointing to a pulsating red icon on the map, "is the linchpin of their entire network. It's how the aliens coordinate their fleets, control their drones, and maintain instantaneous communication. If we take it out, we'll cripple their ability to respond to us across the galaxy." Commander Eric Jansen studied the hologram. The station was massive, heavily shielded, and surrounded by alien patrols. Attacking it head-on would be suicide. "Any weaknesses?" Eric asked, his arms crossed. Greaves nodded. "The relay station has a narrow window of vulnerability. Every 27 hours, it drops its shields briefly to realign with its fleet. It's only a few minutes, but it's enough for us to strike." Lieutenant Harris frowned. "And how do we get close enough to even make use of that window? Their ships will see us coming from light years away." "Stealth," Eric said. "We've already proven we can infiltrate their patrols. We'll use a small team to slip past their defenses and plant explosives inside the station." Greaves hesitated. "Commander, the station's core is volatile. A direct hit there will destroy the relay, but it'll also cause a chain reaction. You'll have minutes to get out, if that." Eric's face was set with determination. "Then we don't waste time. We're going to cripple their entire war machine." The strike team gathered in the hangar, prepping their gear for what could be a one-way mission. Eric inspected the experimental cloaking device that had been fitted to their ship, the Vanguard. It was untested, cobbled together from salvaged alien parts and human ingenuity, but it was their best chance. "Listen up," Eric said, addressing the team. "We're going straight into the heart of the alien empire. If we fail, they'll hunt us down and this war is over. But if we succeed, we'll throw their entire fleet into chaos. Stay focused, stick to the plan, and remember, we're fighting for everyone they took from us." The team nodded solemnly as they boarded the Vanguard. As the ship lifted off, the hangar fell silent. the weight of the mission pressing on those left behind. Hours later, the Vanguard glided into enemy territory, its cloaking system masking its presence. The alien-controlled sector was a labyrinth of patrol routes and sensor arrays, each one designed to detect and destroy anything that didn't belong. Closing in on the relay, Harris reported, his voice low. Shields drop in 3 minutes. Through the viewport, the relay station came into view. It was enormous, a sprawling construct of alien architecture with glowing blue conduits running across its surface. Dozens of alien ships patrolled the area, their sleek forms cutting through the void like predators circling prey. "Hold steady," Eric said, his eyes fixed on the station. "We've only got one shot." The Vanguard slipped past the patrols and latched onto the relay station's hull. The boarding tube extended and the strike team moved quickly, breaching the station's outer layer. Inside, the alien architecture was both beautiful and alien. The walls pulsed faintly with energy, and the air was thick with a metallic tang. Eric motioned for the team to move silently, their footsteps muffled by the alien flooring. "Cores this way," Harris whispered, checking his scanner. The team navigated through narrow corridors, avoiding alien patrols. Occasionally, they passed what looked like alien engineers, their elongated forms hunched over control panels. Eric signaled for the team to bypass them. Stealth was still their best weapon. Finally, they reached the core chamber. The room was massive, dominated by a glowing energy reactor that pulsed with an otherworldly hum. Conduits snaked from the reactor to every part of the station, carrying the signal that kept the alien fleet unified. "This is it," Greaves said over comms. "Plant the charges at the base of the core. The energy feedback will do the rest." As the team worked to set the explosives, the alarm suddenly blared. Red lights bathed the chamber as alien drones poured in from every entrance. "They found us!" Harris shouted, raising his weapon. "Hold them off!" Eric barked, firing at the approaching drones. The team formed a defensive line, their modified weapons punching through the alien drone's armor. The air filled with the sound of gunfire and the screeching of damaged machines. "The charges are set!" one of the soldiers yelled. 2 minutes until detonation." "Fall back," Eric ordered, covering the retreat as the team sprinted toward the boarding tube. The corridors were now swarming with aliens, their glowing eyes fixed on the fleeing humans. Eric fired shot after shot, slowing their advance. By the time the team reached the Vanguard, the station was shaking violently. The core was beginning to destabilize, its glow intensifying as it neared detonation. "Go! Go! Go!" Eric shouted as the last of his team boarded the ship. The Vanguard detached and shot away from the station, its engines roaring as it raced to escape the blast radius. Behind them, the relay station erupted in a blinding explosion, sending shockwaves through the sector. Alien ships scrambled in confusion, their coordination shattered. On board, the team let out a collective sigh of relief. Eric stood at the viewport, watching the fireball fade into the distance. "That's one step," he said, his voice grim, "but the war's just beginning." The explosion of the alien relay station sent ripples through the galaxy. In the days following the strike, the alien fleets, once a seamless, unstoppable force, descended into chaos. Ships lost contact with one another, patrols wandered aimlessly, and entire sectors went dark. The humans on Nova Europa watched with grim satisfaction as reports of alien disarray poured in. In the war room, Commander Eric Jansen stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. The red icons marking alien fleets were scattered and uncoordinated. "They're fractured," Eric said, pointing to the clusters of alien activity. "Their entire network relied on that relay. Now they're vulnerable." Dr. Alan Greaves nodded, scrolling through intercepted alien communications. "It's worse than we thought for them. Without the relay, their drones are malfunctioning and their fleets are fighting over resources. This is our chance to hit them where it hurts." Lieutenant Harris leaned forward, studying the map. "If they're disorganized, we could take out one of their central fleet hubs. With their command structure in shambles, they might not even notice we're coming until it's too late." Eric tapped a glowing icon on the map. "Here, this is their primary supply depot. It's where they refuel their fleets and repair their ships. If we destroy it, we'll cripple their ability to mount a counterattack." The room fell silent. Destroying the supply depot would be a massive undertaking. The depot was heavily fortified with more alien ships than they'd faced before, but if they succeeded, it would be a devastating blow to the aliens' war effort. "We'll need more than just the Vanguard for this," Eric said. "We'll need every ship, every fighter, and every soldier we can muster." Harris hesitated. "We're stretched thin as it is. If this goes wrong, we'll lose everything anyway," Eric interrupted. "The aliens won't stay fractured forever. They'll rebuild, and when they do, they'll come for us. We have to strike now, while they're weak. The next few days were a flurry of preparation. On Nova Europa and the other surviving colonies, engineers worked tirelessly to retrofit ships with improved cloaking devices and upgraded weaponry. Fighters and freighters were converted into makeshift warships, each one a testament to humanity's ingenuity. Eric's plan wasn't just to destroy the supply depot, it was to make a statement. The aliens needed to know that humanity was no longer running. In the hangar, Eric stood before a gathering of soldiers and pilots. "We're about to take the fight straight to the heart of their operations," he began, his voice echoing through the massive space. "This is more than just a mission. This is a declaration. They thought they could destroy us, but they were wrong. We're still here, and we're going to show them what it means to defy extinction." The crowd erupted in cheers, the sound reverberating through the hangar. When the fleet arrived near the alien depot, the scene was as daunting as expected. The depot was a massive structure, a sprawling network of docking bays, fuel tanks, and repair facilities. Surrounding it was a fleet of alien warships, their sleek forms glowing faintly against the void. Eric's voice came over the comms. "All ships, maintain formation. Cloaking systems active. We move in on my mark." The human fleet crept forward, the cloaking devices masking their approach. Inside the Vanguard, Eric monitored the depot's movements. The alien ships were disorganized, their patrols sloppy and erratic. The destruction of the relay station had done more damage than they'd hoped. "Mark," Eric said. The human fleet surged forward, emerging from the darkness with weapons blazing. Missiles streaked toward the depot, slamming into its defenses and tearing through its outer layers. Alien ships scrambled to respond, but their lack of coordination was evident. "Focus fire on the docking bays," Eric ordered. "If we take those out, they can't repair or refuel." Explosions lit up the depot as human ships targeted key infrastructure. The alien warships retaliated, their energy beams slicing through space, but the humans fought with determination and precision. Fighters swarmed the larger alien vessels, their modified weapons finding weak points in the alien armor. Inside the depot, alien engineers worked frantically to stabilize the structure. One of the docking bays erupted in flames as a human missile found its mark, sending debris cascading into the void. "Commander, we've got incoming reinforcements," Harris called out. Eric checked his console. More alien ships were arriving from nearby sectors, their formation tighter than the scattered patrols. The longer the humans stayed, the greater the risk of being overwhelmed. "We stick to the plan," Eric said. "Take out their fuel reserves and fall back." On the depot's lower levels, a human strike team had infiltrated the structure, planning charges near the main fuel tanks. The team's leader, a grizzled veteran named Carter, called over the comms. "Charges set. We're moving out." "Good work," Eric replied. "Get clear and signal when you're safe." As the strike team evacuated, the human fleet continued to press the attack. Alien ships fell one by one, their disorganized maneuvers no match for humanity's relentless assault. "We're clear," Carter reported. "Detonate the charges," Eric ordered. A moment later, the depot erupted in a massive explosion, the fireball consuming its fuel reserves and spreading to nearby ships. The alien fleet reeled from the destruction, their remaining ships scattering as the humans began their retreat. "All ships, fall back to rally point," Eric commanded. The human fleet disengaged, disappearing into the void as quickly as they had arrived. Behind them, the alien depot burned, its destruction leaving a gaping hole in the aliens' supply chain. Back on Nova Europa, the mood was electric. The destruction of the depot was a turning point, a victory that sent shockwaves through the galaxy. In the war room, Greaves stood next to Eric, his expression a mix of exhaustion and pride. "We did it," Greaves said. "We've crippled their ability to wage war, at least for now." Eric nodded, his face grim. "This was just one battle. They'll come back stronger, but so will we. Humanity isn't just surviving anymore. We're fighting back." As the celebration spread through the colony, Eric stepped outside, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, the aliens were regrouping, planning their next move. But humanity had proven it wouldn't go quietly. The war was far from over, but for the first time, Eric felt hope. The victory over the alien supply depot had shifted the balance of power in the galaxy. For the first time since Earth's destruction, humanity was no longer simply surviving. They were a force to be reckoned with. Word of their defiance spread, and whispers of rebellion began to stir among other species subjugated by the aliens. On Nova Europa, Commander Eric Jansen stood in the war room, surrounded by his team. The holographic map showed a galaxy in flux. Alien fleets were scattered, their coordination fractured. Reports of uprisings against the aliens had begun trickling in from distant systems. "Their empire is crumbling," Dr. Alan Greaves said, scanning intercepted communications. The destruction of the depot has caused logistical chaos. Supply lines are failing, and their fleets are stretched too thin to maintain control. But they're not done yet, Lieutenant Harris interjected, pointing to several clusters of red icons. Their core systems are still intact, and they've started pulling their forces back to defend their homeworlds. If they consolidate, they could strike back hard. Eric nodded, his face set with determination. Which is why we can't give them the chance. We hit them now, before they can regroup. Harris raised an eyebrow. You're talking about an assault on their core worlds? That's suicide. Not if we rally the others, Eric said. The galaxy is watching us. Every species they've oppressed is waiting for a sign that the aliens can be beaten. We've shown them it's possible. Now we need to lead the charge. The call to arms went out across the galaxy. Using the stolen alien relay data, humanity's resistance sent encrypted messages to every known rebel group, every enslaved species, every outpost longing for freedom. The response was overwhelming. On a distant mining colony, a group of hulking reptilian warriors prepared their weapons. The humans have opened a path, their leader growled. It's time to take back what's ours. In a hidden asteroid base, insectoid aliens with iridescent carapaces chittered in agreement as their leader spoke. They burned our worlds. Now we'll burn theirs. Across the galaxy, ships began to converge on a single point. Nova Europa. What had once been a solitary human colony now became the rallying ground for a united front against the alien oppressors. In the colony's largest hangar, Eric addressed the gathered fleet. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species filled the space, their crews standing shoulder to shoulder. Today, we stand united, Eric began, his voice carrying across the hangar. They tried to destroy us. They thought they could rule us through fear. But today, we show them that the galaxy will not bow to tyranny. The crowd erupted in cheers, a deafening roar of defiance. The fleet launched into hyperspace, heading straight for the heart of the alien empire. The target, Chiron Prime, the aliens' homeworld. The planet was a fortress surrounded by a massive fleet and protected by orbital defenses. As the Allied fleet emerged from hyperspace, the sight of Chiron Prime filled the viewports. The planet was a sprawling industrial giant, its surface covered in towering spires and glowing cities. Dozens of alien warships moved into formation, their sleek forms bristling with weapons. Eric sat in the cockpit of the Resolute, his jaw tight. All ships maintain formation. Fighters engage their front line. Capital ships focus on their defenses. The battle erupted in a chaotic symphony of light and fire. Alien ships clashed with the Allied fleet, their weapons tearing through space. Fighters swarmed like angry hornets, engaging in dogfights that spiraled across the battlefield. On the ground, resistance forces landed on Chiron Prime, engaging alien troops in fierce urban warfare. Humans fought side by side with their alien allies, their combined strength overwhelming the defenders. In orbit, Eric's voice rang out over the comms. Focus fire on the planetary shield generators. We need to bring those down. The Allied fleet concentrated their attacks, pounding the massive shield arrays protecting the planet. One by one, the generators fell, and the shield collapsed in a brilliant cascade of energy. Shields are down, Harris shouted. Target their command centers, Eric ordered. We're taking the fight to their leaders. On the surface of Chiron Prime, the resistance stormed the alien central command. Eric led the charge, his rifle cutting down alien defenders as he pushed toward the main building. The halls were a maze of alien architecture, but the resistance moved with purpose, their training and determination carrying them forward. In the central chamber, the alien leaders stood in defiance. Their shimmering forms loomed tall, their glowing eyes filled with a mix of rage and desperation. You think you can defy us? One of them hissed, its voice resonating like a metallic echo. Eric stepped forward, his weapon raised. You destroyed our home. You hunted us like animals, but you underestimated us. The alien lunged, but Eric's shot was faster. The resistance opened fire, cutting down the remaining leaders in a barrage of coordinated strikes. With the command structure destroyed, the alien forces began to collapse. Ships retreated, ground troops surrendered, and the once mighty empire crumbled. Back on Nova Europa, the Allied leaders gathered to celebrate their victory. Eric stood at the center of the room, his face weary but triumphant. This isn't just a victory for humanity, Eric said. It's a victory for everyone who stood against oppression. Together, we've proven that no force in the galaxy is invincible. The war is over, but our work is just beginning. We have a galaxy to rebuild. Cheers erupted, echoing across the chamber and into the stars. Humanity had risen from the ashes, not as victims, but as leaders in a new era of freedom. The aliens had underestimated them and paid the ultimate price.